Hello, hello. Welcome to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network. What's going on, K Walker and Jay?
All is well. All is well. Tuesday, looking forward to a great one, guys.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about, so this should be a good one. Should be a good one.
For those who are watching us, please share, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Is the name our channel is the name of our show, The Sideline Speaks. URL is youtube.com/, The Sideline Speaks. Any which way, The Sideline Speaks will get you to us. So make sure, please click that notification bell, share, subscribe, and please watch us. We really greatly appreciate the support. But I know you guys are ready to talk about some sports, especially with that 49ers and that victory yesterday.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Indeed.
All right, so let's talk about some sports, and that's where we're going to start off today. Monday Night Football was between the 49ers, technically at the Arizona Cardinals, although they were in Mexico. I believe the Cardinals were the home team. The 49ers dominated the Kyler Murray-less Cardinals in a 39-10 victory. Guys, what are your thoughts on this game? And do you think the 49ers will win the NFC West? I believe they currently hold the tiebreaker over the Seahawks. Jay, I'm gonna come to you first since this is K-Walk's team.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a super impressive win by the 49ers. They did exactly what you're supposed to do to a team like the Cardinals, dealing with some of the injuries that they're dealing with. I mean, that's what good teams do. They beat teams in a convincing fashion, and the 49ers dominated. And I'll tell you what, that offense with all the weapons that they have, and if Jimmy G's going to play like that, the 49ers are going to be a problem for a lot of football teams. So that was just an outstanding win. K-Walk and I have talked about it a lot. I've always said that they have a roster that is built to win the Super Bowl. They absolutely have a Super Bowl roster. It's just about putting it all together. And it looks like now, after getting off to a slow start and some of the issues that they had at the quarterback position, it looks like now the 49ers are bringing it all together. So this is a scary football team. I definitely think they're going to win their division without any question. They look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now.
All I'm going to say is Christian McCaffrey. Oh
Yep.
my goodness. This was probably one of the best acquisitions of the season thus far because he is a game changer and he does it all.
Yeah.
I think what he had 7 carries for 39 yards, but then he has 7 receptions for 67 yards.
Yep.
He fits this offense so well. And I know Kyle Shanahan is so happy to have this guy because he helps to open everything else up for everyone else.
Yep.
Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, everybody else. We already know the 49ers defense was top tier. The biggest thing also was health. Like you said, Jay, we already knew coming in, it was a Super Bowl contending team. The big question really was the quarterback position. But like you said, if Jimmy G continues to play like this, continues this trend, this is going to be a very difficult team to stop and slow down, especially when it comes to playoff time. But we're gonna throw it to K-Walk. This is your team. I know you smiling after this one. This victory is a big one.
I'm feeling good. Yeah, I mean, everything you guys touched on, I was going to touch on, but just like Jay mentioned, is that when you're looking to possibly be a Super Bowl contending team, and you come up against a Cardinals team, like you mentioned, Kyler Murray less,
Mm-hmm.
and they're fighting all of those injuries. You have to beat a team like that if in the fashion that the 49ers beat the Cardinals last night. You just have to do that if you want to really be considered one of the contenders, or if you just want to be in the hunt. You have to beat a team. You can't be in a dogfight with a team like that for sure. You guys mentioned Christian McCaffrey, Britt. I'm just glad he didn't score any touchdowns last night, because each and every week it just seems like it's always one person that you're talking about when you talk about the 49ers. Last year was Deebo. Deebo led them to the NFC Championship. And then when McCaffrey had that 3-touchdown game against the Rams, it was about McCaffrey being, the reason why the 49ers win. Now, last night, you see exactly what they're capable of doing. You got George Kittle scoring 2 touchdowns, Brandon Ayuk. Then you got Deebo Samuels in the mix as well. And then, you throw McCaffrey in there. And like I said a few weeks ago, if Jimmy G can just allow these guys to just do what they do, just put the ball in their hands early and allow them to make plays after that, because they lead the league in yards after catch. So just allow them to do what they do, and you step back and you really don't have to do anything other than just watch, pretty much. And then when you get that complimentary defense as well, they played the way they did last night. That's a scary situation for, teams. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a 49er fan. It was great to see, don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, but it is what it is. I mean, they're complementary. They're complementary each other very well on both sides of the ball. Kyle Shanahan is he has a problem. He can't even get Elijah Mitchell in the game like he wants to, and he was a big part of their game, their success last year as well. 900 yards rushing last year. But I can go on and on this, but we only have a few minutes. So with that being said, great victory by the 49ers. Got the Saints this week, and as long as they can continue to stay healthy, and that's the key thing with this team, because they've been running into a lot of health issues. If they can stay healthy, like Jay said, they're going to be a problem they're going to be a hard out for a lot of teams in the NFC.
And real quick, K-Walk, because you mentioned Shanahan, I think he deserves a lot of credit, right? Because it's one thing to have the weapons. It's another thing to know how to use them, and the creativity, the schemes, all the little things he's doing to get these guys the ball in positions where they can succeed. Just outstanding, man. So I think Shanahan deserves a lot of credit for the way he's calling these games.
Hey, Jay, real quick, Brett, before you start, it's funny you said that, because last night I'm watching this game with my wife last night, and I'm looking at it. They had Christian McCaffrey in the slot, and they had Debo and Samuels in the backfield. I'm like, look at this. You can't even tell the difference between these two, because they do exactly the same thing. So I'm like, wow, it was excellent, man. So you're a great point there, Jay.
Yeah, as long as everybody stays healthy, especially Christian McCaffrey. And like we said, Jimmy G plays how he played yesterday. This team is going to be very, very tough. But I also have to give a shout out to D'Amico Ryans. Just like last year, this year, one of the best in my mind, although he's still young at the position, still one of the best defensive coordinators early in his career. So very, very impressive. A lot of you guys had a lot of injuries on that defensive side of the ball, and the young guys are stepping up.
Yeah.
When the coach can get the young guys ready to go, that's a special coach right there.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, guys. I was going to jump into some Thanksgiving games, but before we do that, I want to talk about this Vikings team. And this game was very interesting. But this past Sunday, the Cowboys destroyed, oh my gosh, the Vikings in a 40-3 slaughter match in Minneapolis at US Bank Stadium. And I had to point that out because they were at home and they got embarrassed.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the Cowboys. I will never say this because they really did something special for me. And I appreciate that. And I'll tell you later what it is. But after this loss, and I know I asked you guys this question a few weeks ago, but do you think the Vikings are legit now? Or do you think they're frauds? K-Walk, I'm going to come to you first.
It's hard to say. They're an enigma. That's all I can say. They're an enigma, because if you looked at them the previous week when that game against the Bills, and they went in Orchard Park and came out with that victory. I know there was, some different plays that happened there, or different bounces, if you will, that went their way. But to win that game and to come back to Minneapolis at home, 8-1, and you lose in the fashion that you did. I don't care who it was, the Cowboys, whomever it is, you can't lose like that coming off of a victory like that. And everyone's questioning are they legit? Are they a legitimate 8-1 team? And I'm going back to when they played the Bills. Or 7-1 team, and they beat the Bills and then are 8-1. So now people are saying, okay, yes, they're legit. Now that not only did they lose, but to lose in the fashion that they did was just unbelievable. So to answer the question, it's hard for me to say. I just think you're going to just look at this team and be week to week and just watch this team and see what they were able to do. I just have to say that the Cowboys defensive line was unbelievable. They didn't give Kirk Cousins any time to get rid of that ball and get them down to Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson had 3 catches 39 yards. Hutchinson wasn't able to do his thing. Thielen wasn't. That defense was swarming. I think they came in there and they played with a purpose, meaning the Cowboys, and they had a game plan. They executed the game plan to the T. So going back to again the question, I don't know if they're going to show up like this each and every. You don't know. I don't know. So. They're a fraud. The reason why I said they're a fraud because it's their last game. So it's based off of their last game. You're only good as your last game. So based off of that, they're a fraud.
Now, Jay, same question, but when we watched this Bills game, most of us, not all of us, but said there was some unfortunate circumstances that kind of went against the Bills.
Yeah.
They fumbled, they baffled the snap and other couple of things that normally the Bills won't really, they usually take good care of the football for the most part, outside of a couple interceptions with Josh Allen. But then the other good team that the Vikings played was the Eagles, and they got blown out then, which was in week 2.
Yeah.
So do you think the Vikings are really legit, or are they frauds?
It's a great question because last week I said I was a believer, but now like I'm looking at these Vikings and to me they're like fool's gold. They look like the real thing, but when you get it in your hand, you start to examine it. It's not the real thing, and that's kind of how I look at Minnesota because I don't think really good teams get beat like that, right? Everyone loses. You can have a bad game, but to get completely dominated in the fashion they did, it makes me feel like they're pretenders. It really does. So I'm going to jump in there with K Walk and say fraud is strong. Like I don't know that I want to say they're frauds, but I would say I don't believe that they're real contenders to really do anything. So. Even if they win a bunch of games the rest of the year, like come playoff time, to me, I think they're going to have an early exit. So I'm going to say they're pretenders. They're like fool's gold to me. They look like the real thing, but they're not. And just let me get this in real quick, Britt, just to my listeners, because I know we got a ton of Cowboys fans all across the nation. We've got a little time set aside later in the show to talk about how dominant the Cowboys were on Sunday. So stick around for that, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around for that.
I wasn't trying to go too far into the segment.
I know. I just wanted to let my fellow Cowboys brethren know that we would be talking about them later in the show.
Be careful what you ask for, Jay. Be careful what you ask for. Don't be like those Vikings fans. They celebrated too much last week, and now you see what happened this week. But no, I think they're pretenders, and I've been saying this all season long. And I said it after week 2, Barry. You're just the Eagles fan. We basically showed, although the Cowboys took it one step further by getting 40-3, we basically showed y'all how to defend Justin Jefferson. And it blows my mind throughout all these weeks why these teams did not defend him. They were letting Justin Jefferson run all over the field. I'm like, you have to follow him. At times, I think when we played him, we had a safety help just in case we needed safety help. I know he was going against Darius Slay. Darius Slay doesn't necessarily need help, but just in case, because he was destroying teams. And then he couldn't do anything against the Eagles. The Cowboys took that one step further and said, we're really going to stop you. We're going to stop you, your run game, and Kirk Cousins. But I also say I am not a believer in Kirk Cousins. I've never been a believer in Kirk Cousins. The only time to me Kirk Cousins was good was when he was playing a terrible Eagles team when he was with it was the Redskins, then it's the Commanders now. But I've never been a huge believer in Kirk Cousins. I don't care if it's prime time, regular time, nighttime, daytime, morning time, whatever time. I've never been a big believer. But to me, they are pretenders and they are frauds. And maybe I'm saying this as a sour Eagles fan from back in 2017 when they came and destroyed the city and vandalized the city. Maybe that's where I'm still at. I don't know. But it was bad. And you're at home and you're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. We might want to reevaluate this whole entire situation. But we'll talk about it later. I had to give my hats off to the Cowboys because they said, we in your house, but we're going to stomp you hard. And that's what they did.
Hey,
All
Britt,
right,
I think the best way to go, the only way you can stop Justin Jefferson is by putting pressure on Kirk Cousins by destroying that offensive line like the Cowboys did. I don't think there's any. If you give Kirk Cousins time and Justin Jefferson time, I don't think there's any defensive scheme on the back end that can cover him. But when that's the best way to kill that the head of the snake. I mean the body of the snake is by killing the head, cutting the head off the snake, because you put pressure on him. Kirk Cousins, you're not giving him time downfield, and that's the best way to stop Justin Jefferson, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then the Vikings defense is not that great neither.
Right.
They couldn't do anything to stop the Cowboys. The Cowboys got up. I know the Vikings wanted to run with Dalvin Cook, but now you can't run because you're so far behind. You have to throw the ball, which is in favor of the Cowboys defensive line. And that's what Dan Quinn's going to have. They're going to have Michael Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, a couple other guys on that defensive line come get you. And that's what they did. I think they had 7 sacks that game. 7. So they was coming after Kirk Cousins to kill him. And that's what they did. But good point, K-Walk. Good point. But all right, guys, because we don't want to go too deep. We want to save that for Jay's hat for the show. All right. I'll give him that one. But now we're going to go into some of these Thanksgiving games, Thursday night footballs in 2 days. 2 days. There's 3 games. We'll really just talk about the 2. So the first one we'll talk about is, you know what? We'll go into the night game first, since we just spoke about them. We have the Patriots at the Vikings at 8:30 on Thanksgiving night. Do you think the Vikings can redeem themselves against the Patriots? Jay, I'm going to come to you first.
Man, this is going to be an interesting one, because on one hand, I don't think the Patriots are really that good, to be honest. But on the other hand, Bill Belichick does tend to take advantage of quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins. I certainly think he's going to have some schemes and some packages in place that he's going to try to confuse Cousins and kind of get him into some bad situations. So it's going to be really interesting. The thing about the Vikings, though, coming off of a loss like that, where you get absolutely embarrassed at home, you got to believe that if there's any heart at all in that locker room, they're going to come ready to play on Thursday night. And the Patriots have not been world beaters at all this year. They've been struggling offensively as well. So I think this is going to be a really close game, but I actually think the Vikings are going to bounce back and win this football game. Not because I think they're a great team or anything like that, but I think a lot just to deal with the opponent. I just think that the Patriots just don't excite me when I watch them play football.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. That's right. They don't have Tom Brady. I forgot about that. The whole big debate still out there: Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. I think we understand who won that debate. But no, the Patriots don't excite me. We thought Mac Jones would be a big time quarterback. I know he's struggling right now. It's just not an exciting team. So, but Bill Belichick is still a smart head coach. He's a defensive minded head coach first and foremost. I know he's going to watch what the Cowboys did to really stop Kirk Cousins in that offense, Justin Jefferson, and he's going to study, something that Kyler Murray does not like to do, but he is going to study to really stop and to ensure Justin Jefferson does not go off. Kirk Cousins doesn't have a whole lot of time. And I think this game will be a lot closer than what most people think. I think the Vikings will be able to pull it off, but not by much. I'm really going to say it's going to be like a 21-17 game. Could be completely wrong. Or maybe the Patriots might somehow slide in due to too many mistakes of Kirk Cousins and win. But I'm going to say Vikings by a very small margin. K-Walk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings as well. I just think that they'll bounce back from that embarrassing loss, to say the least, to the Cowboys we just spoke of. But the Patriots, I don't see a lot of offense there. I mean, we saw that game, against a lot of people saw the game against the Jets, and they actually pulled it out on that, that last second punt return. I know we're going to talk about Zach Wilson and the Jets, but I don't see that. I like the Vikings here. I think they just bounce back. I think Kirk Cousins is embarrassed. That offensive line has to show up. I mean, that's what they went through with that defensive line of the Cowboys. They a lot of this is a bounce back. You got to be, your Eagles got to be your Eagles got to be hurt. Your prize got to be checked in at the door when you come in on Wednesday tomorrow. When you start the week, actually they started early because they play on Thursday, so their week started early. So they had a short week. So it's short memory. So hopefully they can just throw that out the window. Jay, we never experienced this, and but when you lose a game like that, generally this is one of those games where the coach just throws the film out of the window and they say, listen, we're not even going to watch this get filmed. We've seen what happened. We've been a part of it. But I'm going to take the Vikings here. I'm going to take the Vikings. I'm agree with you here, Britt, and it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. So I'm going to take the Vikings 20-14.
And the next game we'll talk about, of course, Jay's temporary Cowboys, but the Giants at the Cowboys. Because if they lose first round in the playoffs or after this season, he's going to have a different team. So
I agree with that, Britt. I agree. I can't even argue
I said temporary. But Giants at the Cowboys at 4:30 on Thanksgiving afternoon. Jay, I'm going to come to you first since this is your temporary team. Who do you think has this one?
Yeah, no, look, the Cowboys have to win this game. I think this is a pivotal game. Obviously, it's in the division. They have the same record right now. So this is a huge game. And if you're Dallas, you don't want to make it look like what you did against Minnesota was fluky or lucky, right? So you really have to come out and play a great game on Thursday. Now, maybe some potential bad news for Dallas. I read an article today that a bunch of their players are getting sick. There's some kind of bug that's kind of working its way through the locker room. So hopefully those guys, there's about 4 or 5 guys didn't practice today. Hopefully those guys are healthy and ready to go on Thursday. But I think if the Cowboys are at full strength, I think they win this game. I feel like similar to San Francisco that we talked about earlier, the Cowboys look like maybe they're starting to hit their stride now. Faced a lot of adversity early in the season with Dak getting hurt, but it looks like now they're starting to hit their stride. And if they continue to use Tony Pollard in the way that they did on Sunday, I think that causes a lot of problems for defenses as well. So I like Dallas. I think it'll obviously be a really close, classic NFC East football game, but I like Dallas, maybe a 31-24 or something like that.
Yeah, I think this will be a little bit closer. I'm also going to go with the Cowboys. I just think I'm not a believer in Daniel Jones. He's the guy. And then they don't really have too many receivers. Kenny Galloway, they pay him all this money. He's just non-existent whatsoever. So really your main focus is on Saquon Barkley. To me, if you could limit Saquon Barkley, then you limit that offense. With this defensive line, if they get back, they have no throwing passing game whatsoever. Now, their defense, on the other hand, is a little bit stronger than what most people would think. They have a lot of young pieces, especially on that defensive line, and they can come at you. They could get after the quarterback if need be. So Dak Prescott needs to be on point. I think he will be a 43 victory. No, because like you said, it's a division matchup. Division matchups are always different. You know each other. But I think the Cowboys will be ready to go. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys here too. I mean, the Giants. You already mentioned Britt, the depleted receiving core. They just lost another receiver this past weekend with an ACL injury, so they're down to they're down again another receiver, and they didn't really have a quality receiver to begin with. To be perfectly honest with you, especially trading away Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs, and a lot of that weight is starting to be placed on to Saquon Barkley's shoulders, legs, thighs. I know he's a big guy and he can handle that weight, but we all know that he's injury prone, knock on wood. But it's a lot there. And Daniel Jones, hats off to him. He's actually been stepping up. He's making some big time throws and running the ball really well. He's a lot more mobile than a lot of people give him credit for. But that game against the Lions, if they can't do that, if they can't beat the Lions, man, they're going to have a real hard time with the Cowboys coming in. You're going into going into Arlington there. But I like the Cowboys here 24-17. I really do. I just think that they're going to solidify their place. They're coming from that number one spot in the NFC East for sure. That division, that win against the Vikings is right now is catapulting them. And especially their confidence. So right now they're talking Super Bowl. And even Jerry Jones, I know we can only hold with take for a grain of salt what Jerry Jones says. But the way that they played, you could tell that they really wanted that game against the Vikings. So I think it continues to go with against the Giants. And again, they win 24-17. So it's gonna be a rough one for the Giants on Thanksgiving, man.
Well, we'll see what happens. The biggest thing with the Cowboys is consistency. They played like that last week, but is it a consistent thing or is that at one time and then they fumble back to where they were? And also December is coming up. Cowboys in December is not the best team, so hopefully this year is different for them. But all right, guys. Oh, and this is a big Odell Beckham Jr. game. He's going to be determining which team he wants to go to. But before we get to that, I want to get into this segment that we haven't done in a while. This is actually a segment that Jay came with months and months ago, and we haven't done it on our new revamped show, The Sideline Speaks. So I'm going to bring it back, and it's called The Judgment Seat. Okay. So how this works is I'm the judge. We're going to have, yes, I'm the judge, K-Walk. We're going to have two players normally, and these are K-Walk and Jay are the attorneys, and they have to represent their client. Okay, whichever one has the best argument, I will determine who to give the point to. We have 3 rounds here. You guys ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, disclaimer. I am basing this off completely the argument, not my personal biasness. All right?
Okay.
So the first one, Jay, you're going to have Joel, Hans, and B.
Okay.
And K-Walk, you're going to have Hakeem, the Dream, Olajuwon.
Oh.
All right, so who wants to go first? Let's do a pretend coin flip.
What are we arguing? Who's the better center?
Who's the better? Yeah, who's the better?
Okay.
Who's the better center? K-Walk, you're going to go first since you got the old guy.
Okay, so we got Hakeem Dream Olajuwon, Your Honor, and here we got he's arguably the best center of all time. If you ask me, and I have him in my top 5. I have him in my starting center. I have MJ, Magic, I have Pip, I have Kevin Garnett, and I have Hakeem Dream Olajuwon. The best center, most athletic center in the history of the game. At one point, he had a quadruple double, ladies and gentlemen. He had double points, double rebounds, double assists, and double blocks, not steals, but blocks. So we're talking about a quadruple double. I don't think anyone else in the league has had that. I don't have the information in front of me because I just had this information just submitted to me today. So I don't have the facts in front of me, but I do know he had at least one. We're talking about, again, a guy that's Shaquille O'Neal, who's arguably the most dominant center in the league, stated that he was the most difficult center to go up against. And for Shaq to say that, and for Hakeem Olajuwon to give him the business, to spin around, the footwork, the fadeaway jump shots, and his defense as well. I mean, 2-time defensive player of the year, I believe at least 2-time defensive player of the year, MVP, 2-time champion as well. So my case here, Your Honor, is Hakeem Dream Olajuwon. His name, the Dream. You dream for a guy like this. You dream for a center like this. So with that being said, Your Honor, I rest my case.
Okay. Jay?
Well, Your Honor, everything that Attorney Walker said about Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon is true. I don't disagree with any of it. But the one thing he can't say about his client, Your Honor, is that he's unstoppable. Joel Embiid went on the floor, is the most unstoppable force maybe that the NBA has ever seen. He's 7'2", 270 pounds, and you cannot guard him. And I think that's what gives him the edge over the Dream. He's unguardable. If you give him the ball in the paint, he's going to score or get fouled. So I think both great players. I'm not here to take away anything from Kevin's client, but if you were starting a team, I would rather start with the guy who was unguardable and just physically dominant than the guy who's really skilled and a really great player. but couldn't really win until Michael Jordan retired, Your Honor. So I'm going to take Joel Embiid, and I hope you do too.
And my client played in a center era. Joel Embiid doesn't play against a real true center.
Hold him in contempt, Your Honor.
Don't make me get the bailiff now. No. Wow. Jay, you sound really passionate about the most dominant. K-Walk, you did have some valid points as far as the Dream going up against Shaq. Shaq couldn't do anything. I'm gonna have to get a point to Jay only because
I wonder why.
it was the passion. It was the passion.
Get a fair trial here. I demand a change of venue. I demand a change of venue. I can't get a fair try here.
We got 2 more rounds. All right, guys. But just before I go to the second round, I want to let you guys know I did not give Jay and K-Walk these names prior. So they are literally coming off the top of their head, trying to remember what these players did. All right, next round. K-Walk, I'm going to give you Michael Jordan. Jay, I'm going to give you LeBron James. You already know it. Okay. It's a big debate still to this day for whatever reason.
Okay.
But that's what we're going to do. So, K-Walk, you going first last round. Jay,
all right.
Tell me about your client, LeBron.
Your Honor, I take exception to the fact that you said there's still a debate going on for whatever reason. There is a reason that there's a debate going on. When my client retires, Your Honor, not only is he going to be the league's leading scorer, but he has a chance. He'll be second probably in assist as well. Now, as great as MJ was, he doesn't have the numbers that stack up in that way, leading the league in scoring and second in the league in assists. And then I think when you look at LeBron and how many times he took a team, put them on his back, and got to a championship, 9 straight finals, even the great Michael Jordan was not able to do that. And then I think when you look outside of basketball, the way that he's conducted himself, the impact that he's had on kids all across the United States of America, the school that he started. For a guy that's been in the public eye since he was 15, 16 years old and never has really had a misstep, to me, that's GOAT level stuff, Your Honor. So take all that into consideration as you hear Kevin's argument for MJ.
Some valid points there. K-Walk, represent MJ.
Hey, Michael Jeffrey Jordan is, he's the GOAT in my opinion, due to the fact that, Jay mentioned all of the finals that LeBron went to. Mike went to 6, won 6, all 6. Never went to a game 7. Never lost a game 7, or never lost. He went to game 7 and against the Pacers in his last year. Overcame that. MVP. One thing that LeBron doesn't have that Michael Jordan has is a defensive player of the year award. 1988. He's a rookie of the year, defensive player of the year. 5-time, 6-time NBA MVP. I mean, arguably, just to go down to, he has a national championship ring with the University of North Carolina Tar Heels, and Jay mentioned the business aspect of it, or off court. Look at what MJ's doing. He started the Jordan brand. He's the owner of the Hornets right now. I mean, MJ, everything that everyone's doing. Look at Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, patting his game after Michael Jordan. And we're talking about, and Kobe is in that GOAT conversation as well. So let's keep that in mind. And also, we talk about stuff off the court. Let's talk about the Space Jam. Who was the first one to do that? Now he's trying to be that MJ. So right now, in that sense, LeBron's trying to be an MJ. So right now, with that being said, it's arguably that everyone's trying to patent their game and patent their business aspect of life after MJ. So, but that being said, Your Honor, MJ is by far GOAT, GOAT.
Wow, y'all made some very valid points. Jay, I love the fact that you said, he's been in the media since he was about 15, 16 years old, never had a bad mark on his record, anything. He stayed clean. Yep. K-Walk, I think you won the argument here when you said that LeBron is trying to be MJ. And clearly he is. Space Jam
23.
2.
The number 23. He wears that.
23. Yeah, he models. He definitely said his favorite player has been MJ. So K-Walk, you get the point. And that was also a very passionate argument by K-Walk as well.
And for the record, Your Honor, I believe that K-Walk's client is the GOAT as well. Just for
there you go. There you go. My point is not wrong. Okay. All right, so we have 1 point to Jay, 1 point to K-Walk. Now this is for all the marbles here. This is for all the marbles. All right, so this one's gonna be a little tough. Okay, so do your best. Jay, you're gonna get Ben Simmons. K-Walk, you're gonna get the Philadelphia fan base.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, who went first the last time? Let's see.
Jay went first.
You know what, Jay? You're gonna go first again.
Okay. Ben Simmons, fantastic player that was mistreated in Philly. We all know that mental health is a very serious issue, Your Honor. There are people all over the world that struggle with it. And it's an ongoing battle that people face every single day. And unfortunately, Ben is someone who is struggling with mental health. And instead of the Philly fans wrapping their arms around Ben and showing him love for everything that he brought to that team and to that city, what did they do? In typical Philly fashion, they turned their backs on him. They booed him. They made him feel worse than he already felt, Your Honor. It almost gave him no choice but to get out of town. And not only did what the Philly fans do affect him in that season, but it has continued to affect this man even as he has moved on to Brooklyn. I think when you look at the history of Philly fans and some of the things that they've done, it's really just inexcusable, Your Honor. You're talking about a man who was all NBA. There was a game, I believe he's dropped over 40 in a few games. We're not talking about some bum here. We're talking about a really, really, really good basketball player. And the Philly fans just suck the life out of him, Your Honor. So in any situation like this, and Your Honor, I think you would agree, you have to side on the side of mental health in situations like this, Your Honor.
Did he play that card? Did he really play that card?
You're trying to pull at my heartstrings.
Right? Did he play that card?
To the mental health. Come on now. Okay.
Did he play that card?
Any last words, Jay, before we move on?
No, Your Honor. I rest my case on that.
Okay, well, K-Walk, it is now your turn to represent your client, the Philadelphia fan base.
You know what, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury as well, is, Jay made a great argument about the mental health aspect, but in the defense of my client, we're not taking the mental health issue lightly by any stretch of the imagination. Great move by the defense there, but I'm going to say, listen, Philadelphia fan base is a blue collar town. All right. They're going to give it to you. They're passionate about everything they do. They're passionate from everything from the Philadelphia Eagles, Philadelphia 76ers, the Flyers, the Phillies, their cheesesteaks, everything they're passionate about. They think they're the best in the business. You listen, they get a bad rap for booing Santa Claus. Listen, Santa Claus came in at the wrong time. It wasn't Christmas time. It was time for the game to get started. So Ben Simmons, if he couldn't hack it there, man, listen, then you gotta move up to the turnpike. You gotta move wherever. But for him to use that mental health, saying he couldn't, the Philly played on that and they made it worse. You can't say that and then have your client go to Brooklyn, New York. Go to Brooklyn, New York. What do you think your mental health is going to happen there? That's a risk. It's tougher to be able to work in New York than it is in Philly. Trust me on that. I've been in both venues, but with that being said, listen, if you can't hack it in Philly, man, then you don't need to be in there, whether it be from a physical standpoint or a mental standpoint. Again, not taking the mental aspect out of it, but you got to be a warrior, both physically and mentally, in order to play in the Philadelphia area. And that's just the bottom line. Look at Dr. J, look at Charles Barkley, look at Randall Cunningham, look at these guys that just won the Super Bowl a few years ago. The Phillies were just in the World Series. They came up short, but listen, no one had them going in there. The only reason why they were there because they had that Philly mentality. And I'm telling you right now, the Philly fan base right now is one of the best, if not the best, in the game right now. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'd just like to say for the record that you can be passionate without being unkind. And Your Honor, I believe you're from the Philadelphia area. You're very passionate about Philly sports. We see that in your backdrop there. But you're not unkind, Your Honor. And I think the Philly fans could learn a lesson from you in the way that you conduct yourself as a Philly fan. That's all I wanted to say, Your Honor.
Any rebuttals, K-Walk, to that? Jay is playing this smart as I don't know what.
Right. He is. It really. Hey, and you make a great point there. You're absolutely right. And you can be passionate and be kind, but at the same time, it's the Philly fan base. They can be both, and they have been. If you win, they're very kind. If not, they're not. That's just the way it is. You're going to be hard on the people that you believe in because they have a high expectation level. They expect them, whoever suits up in any of those respective uniforms, they expect them to go out and give their all, give the 1,000%, not 100%, 1,000%. And if you don't live up to that 1,000%, then you're going to get it, whether it be unkind or not, because it's deserving, because that's what the Philly fan base expects and deserves.
This one is hard. This one is hard because yes, I am a part of that Philadelphia fan base, South Jersey, that Philadelphia area. I gotta give Jay the point though. Yeah, I gotta give Jay the. I had no choice but to give. K-Walk, you forgot the part where Ben did not want to work on his game. That's why Philadelphia fan base did not like him. That's why they didn't respect him. If you would have said that,
Your Honor. I'm sorry, Your Honor. You're
argument.
right. Yeah, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I just had all this information that I forgot that part. You're right. I forgot something that wasn't presented to me. I can't forget something that wasn't presented to me.
I'll take the win. I'll take the win.
Right, so
Thank you,
Jay
Your Honor.
Takes
this is a travesty. This is a
for
travesty.
this round of the judgment seat. But can you forget that one part? But Jay got me with the mental health and all that.
Yeah, I mean that he played that.
He pulled that little heartstring, so I had to be careful with how I judge that one.
Yeah, I couldn't.
All right, guys. So we ran over a little bit of my time, overtime for my segment of the show. But that was good. That was fun. So that is the judgment seat. We'll do different editions over the course, over the weeks, months, so forth. But real quick, guys, literally 2 seconds. Odell Beckham, after Thanksgiving, will be deciding which team he would like to go for. I know he's set to visit the Giants and the Cowboys right after Thanksgiving. I'm understanding there may be a couple dark horse teams out there as well. Real quick, who do you think, which team do you think will end up getting Odell? Jay, I'm going to come to you first.
I don't think he should go to the Giants. I mean, I know there's some nostalgia there. He used to play there, but if he wants to win, I don't think he should go to the Giants, even though they're playing good football right now. I think long term, the Cowboys would be a better fit. And then if there's another team in the mix, I don't know if the 49ers are in the mix, but if he's not thinking about San Francisco just because of the way that they're playing, another weapon, another toy for Shanahan to play with. So, but I think the Cowboys would be his best bet.
K-Walk, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the only team that makes sense for him to go to right now are the Cowboys. It's just what they need. They need that other receiver outside or alongside of CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup as well. I think that will solidify that offense to give them two legitimate weapons. The Giants, I think that what's ultimately going to have is he's probably going to wait till after to see what happens in the game on Thursday. But I think that, based off of my prediction, I think the Cowboys will win, and then he'll ultimately be in a Cowboy uniform. 49ers, that's the last thing that they need right now. Not saying he's a distraction or anything like that, but I think they're set where they're at right now. So I like the Cowboys being the best fit for OBJ.
The only question about the Cowboys, I'm not saying I don't disagree with you guys, is the contract situation. He wants a long-term contract. He does not want to live out of his suitcase. I know he recently said that in an interview. He said my next place I want to go to. I want to stay, buy a house, and settle down in that area. The question is, does the Cowboys have enough money to work with over the course of the next so many years? I know this coming off. They still have Zeke on the books. They have Dak on the books. The Marcus Lawrence contract is there. They have a couple other players they need to pay in the offseason. So it's going to be very interesting if he decides to go there, how they do this contract. But I think a dark horse team that nobody's really talking about, and I've heard some rumblings, I don't know if they're still in or out, the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have been looking at him, and Lord knows if Tom Brady gets a hold of this guy, they may be right back in the running of a Super Bowl contending, because you can never count out Tom Brady in the Bucs. So it's going to be very interesting what he decides. But all right, guys, we're going to head into break. When we come back, Jay is going to take over, and yes, we are still going to talk about the Cowboys and how dominant the Cowboys are. Not so much of the Vikings side, but how dominant the Cowboys are, and maybe get into a little Eagles and a new segment. He said he has a new segment, so it's going to be very interesting to see what this segment is about. But all right, guys, you guys are listening to The Sideline Speaks with myself, Britne Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Britne Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.
All right, welcome back to The Sideline Speaks. Jason Collins, Britne Jones, and Kevin Walker. All right, guys, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we've kind of sprinkled the Cowboys in throughout most of the show today. But K-Walk, I'll start with you, man. Just how impressed were you with the Cowboys' performance on Sunday, the way they just dominated the Vikings? How impressed were you with how the Cowboys looked?
Very impressed, Jay, and it started with what I mentioned earlier, is that defensive line. It just taking the timing away, just taking the ability for Kirk Cousins to throw the ball downfield to Justin Jefferson. We saw how effective they were against the Bills in that great game. But just to dominate that defensive line, that offensive line, and the fashion that they did was just unbelievable. They just sent one guy after another. And that just allowed Diggs to do what he likes to do, He likes to jump quick routes, because that's the only routes that they could throw at that time. And everything had to come out quick because of the pressure was coming so fast and furious, if you will. And then you see Tony Pollard take it to another level, not just on the ground, but on catching the ball as well. And Zeke came in there and did what he did coming off of the injury. CeeDee Lamb has some great catches. Dak looked really good. Dak, I'm not calling him an elite quarterback, but he played in elite football, elite quarterback on Sunday. Very well orchestrated that offense to the T. Mike McCarthy didn't mess anything up. didn't go, make any boo-boo plays, if you will, boo-boo calls anywhere, and they didn't kill themselves, as far as the penalties go as well. So all around on every aspect and every phase of the game, I was very impressed with them.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, K-Walk. Britt, we know you're an Eagles fan, but you're not afraid to give credit where credit is due. How impressed were you with the way the Cowboys looked?
No, I was impressed. But I wasn't really impressed. I was impressed because they did this last year too. They did it last year. Remember, they did it twice against my Eagles. They killed this. Not going to count the second game, but that first one, they really killed this. So I'm not surprised that eventually this game came out again. I am surprised because the so-called talk about the Vikings and how good the Vikings are supposed to be, that it came against the Vikings. It makes you question a lot about the Vikings. But I have to give credit, like K-Walk said, Mike McCarthy didn't mess up. Kellen Moore that's his name, right? The offensive coordinator. Called a great game. I think the Cowboys, the coaching staff is understanding, even Jerry Jones, they're really understanding that Tony Pollard is the running back of this team. Zeke, he's still a decent running back, but he's more of that, north-south. If we're at 3rd and 2, he'll get you the 2 yards that's needed, but he's getting banged up. He's getting older. Tony Pollard is that change of pace guy. Tony Pollard is that receiving running back. Those 2 catches that he made or especially one, I think it was a 60-yard wheel route or something like that.
Yeah.
Perfect pass from Dak Prescott. I don't know what defense this Vikings was in, because he was down the sideline by himself basically and just gone. But perfect game. This was an all-around great game. The offensive line for the Cowboys really held up, which is great because I know they had Tyron Smith coming back soon, so that will really help to solidify that offensive line. So this was a great all-around game. But the question is, from here on out, will we continue to see that, or will they revert back to what they did against the Packers and so forth? I have no issues with the defense. I've said this all year round. The question is Dak Prescott and the offense. Can they stay consistent? The defense has been consistent throughout the entire year, but it goes back to Dak Prescott and his offense. But I have to tip my hat off to the Cowboys.
Yeah, for sure. I think consistency, that is a good question. And K-Walk, you mentioned it. We've seen the penalties come up in the past. Will they be able to keep those to a minimum? But the thing I love about this team is the defense. I mean, that's the kind of defense that can travel with you anywhere you go. And if they can make you one-dimensional, you can forget about it, because that defensive line and those linebackers, they really can get after the quarterback. So I love what I'm seeing right now in Dallas. Let's see if they can follow it up this Thursday and put together another good win against the Giants. But I like what I saw on Sunday for sure. Britt, I'm going to come back to you because I want to talk a little bit about your Eagles. Struggled on Sunday, but got out of there with a win. Sort of what was your breakdown and your recap of that game? How'd you feel about how the Eagles played on Sunday?
Once again, they're biting themselves in the foot, whatever that, I can't think of this statement.
Shooting themselves in the foot.
Was in the foot. It wasn't coming. Once again, penalties, turnovers. That's so uncharacteristic of them, but you have to go through these struggles to really see what type of team that you are. So it's good that they're going through this now versus December and even January. So let's get through this now. But there was one series in the first half. We're driving down the field. Everything is going great. Dallas Goedert is hurt, so we have to use our backup tight ends. First tight end comes in, penalty. Next tight end comes in, another penalty. We have 4 straight penalties in a row. We ended up being 1st and 35.
Yep.
Surprisingly, we almost made the first down. I think we were a couple yards short, surprisingly. But you can't keep doing that on a consistent basis. This is where you lose games where you should be winning. I had to tip my hats off. I had to tip my hat off to the Colts because their defense is a lot better than most people think it is. They did end up beating the Colts. But offensively, we got to get some things together. There was bad snaps. These are uncharacteristic of the Eagles offense. It doesn't really make sense. The plays being called wasn't right. And surprisingly, I can't really put too much blame on Jalen Hurts. It's like I want to, but he's actually played a decent game. He was throwing it to where he was needed to throw it to. Now, the one thing I will say, his reads on the RPOs were off. Where he should have ran it, he passed it off, or where he was just reading the linebacker and the safety wrong. But through some film, they'll get it together. But tip my hat off to the Eagles defense. They solidified that run defense by bringing in Sue and Lavelle Joseph. After that first series, Colts went down, scored a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the best running backs in this league, couldn't do anything else after that. Nothing else. And we already have one of the best secondaries, so we could solidify that run defense as well. The Eagles, if they got to fix some things again. They got to get back on track. This will be another dangerous team to watch out for. But I have to tip my hat off to Jalen Hurts. That fourth quarter comeback, they're down 10 points. He took over the game, and that's what you want to see in a third-year young quarterback, for them to take over the game and win the game, and that's exactly what he did. He put that team on his back and won this game for him.
No, I do think that was a huge move, getting those 2 interior defensive linemen, because we talked about that run defense a little bit last week. So that was 2 really good signings. I think for me, I look at the Eagles, you can look at it 2 different ways. You could say they won a football game where they didn't play well, right? So anytime you don't play well, but you can still get out of there with a win, I think that's a good thing. And then on the other hand, you could say, well, this is now 2 weeks in a row where this team just has not had their fastball. So K-Walk, is there a need for concern in Philly, Or are you thinking, you know what, they got out of there with a win? Or are you saying, okay, that's 2 weeks in a row where something's been off about this team? What's your take on the Eagles?
Yeah, this just in. The Eagles just signed defensive end, defensive tackle, Warren Sapp. I mean, just kidding, guys. But it just seems like these guys are always bringing someone in here. But to answer the question, yeah, it's a concern for me because they the first game of the season they started off this way against the Lions. I think they were down 14 at one point, or I forget exactly the deficit. Then you look at they were at one point they were down to the Jags as well. This seems to be was it the Jags or whomever it was? They were down and they were down 14 to another
Jags.
team. The Jags, that's what I said. Yeah, the Jags. Yeah. So they were down. It seems like this is the norm for the Eagles, and I don't think they can survive too many of these type of games, especially when you're playing against a legitimate team. Like if you could play against the Cowboys, or if you play against maybe a Giants team, who's been winning. I mean, obviously we didn't they didn't do it against the Vikings. It seems like they play up against their competition and play down to their competition as well. But at the same time, it could cost you. It could cost them a serious game at the wrong time. So with that being said, yeah, I don't like the inconsistency of this team, and they just don't play. They don't play with the sense of urgency for 60 minutes. They just don't do it, and it's going to cost them at some point. You can't continue to play behind. You can see, a win is a win. I keep hearing that. I keep seeing that from Philly fans, and I keep hearing it. Oh, a win was ugly. It was a win, but we take that. But you know what? It's going to eventually cost you. It's going to eventually cost you if you're going to continue to live like that on the football field. So yeah, it's a major concern for me if I'm an Eagles fan.
Here's why I disagree with you, because all season long, the Lions game, we were up that first game. We were up like 32 to whatever.
Okay, and they came back.
We took our foot off. That's one them. First game.
And it took you a pick 6 to win that game too. You keep that in mind. That's rare.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but possibly it was the first season. Okay, Jags, yes, we had to come back from behind. Right. Those are really the only 2 games where we had to come back from behind. Okay, so this would be the third game. Well, actually, I'm sorry. It was the one game. Then today would be the third game. I'm not as concerned right now because all season long, that's all I heard. Eagles are not a contending team until they fought through some adversity. This is the adversity that people are now talking about. This is adversity, right? You're down the entire game. Nothing is going your way. We have these games. I don't care if you're a Super Bowl contending team like the Bills, the Chiefs. Mind you, the Chiefs lost to the Colts, if that even matters. Dallas struggled against some teams. The 49ers have struggled against a lot of teams. The Eagles are now going through their adversity. So the fact that they were able to come back 10 points down in the fourth quarter, after they fumbled the ball, A.J. Brown fumbled the ball in the fourth quarter with about 7 minutes left to go. You have to score 2 touchdowns. That's the adversity and that fight that you want to see in the team. And that's the leadership of Jalen Hurts and your head coach that you also need within that locker room. So this could be a turn to the team. So you can sit and say it's concerning, but it also could be a positive as well, because this is what you want to see. Your guys will fight behind you when your quarterback is like, no, we got this. And he showed the team he got it because he put the team on his back and won this game. So this is very, very interesting. So this is that adversity that everybody's been wondering when the Eagles are going to go through, because every game, for the most part, we have been up, especially in that second quarter where we scored 24 points. And then we take our foot off in the second half, but we still coast to the end. So this is that adversity that people have wanted to see. So there you go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think just as a casual fan watching, I'm a little concerned with their offense because it just doesn't, I don't know, at least the last 2 weeks, they just don't look like they're in a groove. And then you compare that to some teams, maybe like a 49ers team who right now, 10 weeks in, look like they're hitting their stride, whereas the Eagles look like they're having some hiccups. But again, I do. And look, wins matter. I mean, the NFL, every game is hard. So to only be a team sitting with 1 loss and in the driver's seat in the division, they're in an excellent place, obviously, but this is going to be a team that's going to be very interesting to watch over the next few weeks to kind of see where they go from here. All right, guys, I want to try this new segment out. I want to call it Quick Takes, where you're only getting 30 seconds to make your point. That's it. You got 30 seconds. I'm going to hit you with a relatively straightforward question, and you got 30 seconds to make your point, answer the question, and be done with it. All right. So this is Quick Takes, and we're going to start off pretty well. I don't know if it's an easy question, but it's a straightforward question. Okay, Walk, I'll start with you. Is Patrick Mahomes the best player in the NFL? And if not, who is?
Yes, Patrick Mahomes is definitely the best player in the NFL. Reason being, he can make every single throw that you could possibly ask a quarterback to make in the NFL. He's a superhero, in my opinion. He has a super sidekick as well, Travis Kelce. So as long as he has Travis Kelce, he is the best player in the NFL. And you saw what he did on Sunday night against the Chargers. Came back. I literally turned the game off. I thought the game was over because I really thought the Chargers won. Came back and saw the way that they came back. So when you have a guy like that who can continually bring you back and keep you in the game or bring you back, I think he's arguably the best player in the game. And just some of the throws that he makes is unbelievable.
All right, Britt, how about you? Patrick Mahomes, best player in the NFL, and if not, who is?
I don't think he's the best player. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I know I'm saying this as an Eagles fan, but this is my guy since he was at Penn State. I think Michael Parsons is the best player in the NFL. And he's only in his second year. But, man, can he rush the quarterback? You could drop him into coverage. You could do basically anything you want with Michael Parsons, and he will accomplish that feat. And he will go at it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And he has that attitude to get the job done. So, Mahomes, best quarterback. Michael Parsons, best player, at least right now.
Look, I thought about Parsons, and the reason I didn't go there is because there's just been a couple of games where he hasn't really had the kind of impact that I was hoping. So for me with Parsons, I'm going to say not yet, and I'm going to give Mahomes the edge. I do think right now he's the best player in the NFL, but I agree with you, Britt. Parsons is coming. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He is coming. All right, next question. Britt, I'm going to start with you here. Jerry Jones over the weekend was asked, hey, are you guys thinking Super Bowl? And he unequivocally said, absolutely, this is a Super Bowl contending team. So, Britt, what say you? Not asking you if the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl, but are the Cowboys a legitimate Super Bowl contender?
Let's hope Jerry didn't put his foot in his mouth once again, because he does this every year. He does this. I heard that came but yeah, I said it from the beginning. With that defense, they are absolutely a legit Super Bowl contending team. Just like the Bills, just like the Chiefs, just like the 49ers, just like the Eagles. I think those teams are the Super Bowl contending team. So yes, absolutely.
I agree with you 100%. Not saying they're going to win it, not even saying they're going to be in it. But I think if we're just talking contender, you have to have the Cowboys on your list of contenders. K-Walk, what say you?
Yeah, I have to make it unanimous. I'm going to say because of the fact of the matter, they have three components that you ultimately need, which is a really good defense, a really good running game, and a really good quarterback. And I think they have all three. Now, their Achilles heel right now is their coach. And we mentioned that earlier, you know, some of the decision making that he does at times and the penalties may cost him. But ultimately, if you take that out of the equation, they have the formula to be a contender for sure.
All right, let's keep it going. Let's stay on football. I don't know that I've ever seen a stat like this in the history of the NFL. The Jets on Sunday, second half, 2 yards total offense in the second half. I don't know that I've ever seen a stat like that in my life. So that puts all the attention on Zach Wilson. Is it time for the Jets to move away from Zach Wilson? K-Walk, this is your guy, head coach of the team, Salah. Yeah. Is it time to move on from Zach Wilson?
I think you got to sit him right now. I think you really have to sit him. I think he's hitting that rookie wall, like they call it. I think he's not seeing the field the way he's supposed to see it. And also, I've been, like you said, Jay, I was high on this guy coming out of BYU. I was really high on him. But you know what, Jay? I never sat in a room with him. I never, so I just looked at, the eye in the sky. And that's basically what I based my assessment off of. But he's not taking accountability for his actions, Jay. They asked him, do you think that you let your defense down on Sunday? He came out, no. This is a guy who's born with a silver spoon in his mouth, so he's not used to taking accountability. So with that being said, yes, it's time for the Jets to sit him down, bring in Flacco, bring in White, whomever the case may be. But I think it's time for him to step away for at least a couple of games here.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like sometimes, and he's talented, and I think that's why you were so high on him, K-Walk, coming out. He can make all the throws. He's really talented. To me, he just looks like a bad fit in New York. Yeah. And I don't know that, like, judging the man based off of just how he looks, but he just doesn't look like he fits in New York. Like just the way that he stands up at the podium, he just doesn't look like a New York quarterback to me. So I think not only is he not playing well, he doesn't look the part either, which I think for New York fans, they're just going to feast on that. So I agree. I think it's time to move on from Zach Wilson. But Britt, what say you? Can you make this unanimous?
What year is Zach Wilson in? Second or third?
Second. Yeah.
Yeah, that press conference didn't sound after that game. It didn't sound too great. But I know there was one player that came out to his defense thus far. I follow him on social media. I can't think of his name right now, but
Garrett, was it Garrett?
I think Will Parks.
Parks. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Will Parks. I'm not gonna go based off of the press conference. I'm gonna say not yet.
Okay.
I'm not, and this is a hard not yet. It's hard for me to say this. I'm gonna say not yet. He's still a young player. He needs to mature. Clearly, he has to mature a lot. Because clearly that game, you let your defense down. You have a great young defense, and you completely let them down. So for you to say that you didn't,
seriously,
come on now.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say even if he doesn't believe it, say it. Yeah, say it. Yes, I hear. I'm sorry, Brett. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So he has some maturing to do. So hopefully, if they get into the playoffs, but eventually in the offseason, allow him to mature. It could also be a confidence thing as well, because like you guys said, coming out of college, he has talent. He has some talent there. So maybe that's a confidence issue. And New York is not an easy place to play. So they're going to be tough on you. So this offseason, work on your game, work on your mental. We talked about with Ben Simmons, but work on your mental, get confident, and come back and show the world what you got. But I'm going to say at least one more year. If he doesn't get it right next year, he's out.
And Zach Wilson, if you can make it here in New York, you can make it anywhere, bro. Just letting you know that.
Though, man, the thing about it looked like a lack of self-awareness. Because K-Walk, you're right. Like, even if you don't believe you're the problem, like how many quarterbacks have been asked that question over the years and years, and every single one of them answer it the same way. It's on me. I got to do better. I need to play better. Some version of, hey, it's my fault. I take full responsibility. He's the only one that fell for it, said no. Like that's just a lack of self-awareness. Even if you don't believe it, you have to just say the right thing. So,
but that's what you call gaslight. Like you telling us our eyes are lying to us. Right. Now you're trying to gaslight us. Right. Yeah. But I respect the young man. Believe what you think. Yeah, whatever. You say so.
You say so, right?
All right, last one, guys. I know it's early. We're only going into week 10 here, but I want your way too early Super Bowl matchup. Who's going to represent the NFC? Who's going to represent the AFC when it's all said and done? K-Walk, you got 30 seconds, man. Give me your way too early Super Bowl matchup.
All right. I had two here just in case someone took mine, but I'm going to say way too early. I got the San Francisco 49ers playing against the Miami Dolphins. Only reason why is because these two teams are very similar on offense. They both run the same type of scheme. They just do it in a different way. The 49ers run, they use the yak. I mean, that's yards after catch. And then the Miami Dolphins use speed. They have Tyreek Hill. They have Jeff Wilson Jr. now. It's basically the Southern version of the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan's offense. So you're going to see two type of offenses here in the Super Bowl right now, and we're going to see who can run this offense better. So right now it's too early to say. I'm going to say San Francisco 49ers against the Miami Dolphins.
Well, I only had one prepared, and you took mine, K-Walk, because that is exactly who I have as well. I got the 49ers against the Dolphins. That's my way too early Super Bowl matchup. But Britt, what say you?
That was actually an interesting one. I didn't think about that. But now I'm going to go with the obvious, I guess. I'm going to say, I know they're struggling right now, both teams actually a little bit, but I'm going to say the Bills. I think once they get healthy, that defense is something different. But the big thing with the Bills is health, because Josh Allen is a do-it-all quarterback. They need to slow him down as far as running so much, and really rely on his playmakers, because he has some very good playmakers. But Sean McDermott's been coaching that team very well. And then I'm going to say the Eagles. I know people are like, what? What? Look, the last time we went 8-1, 9-1, the last time we went 8-1, 9-1, hey, we was in the Super Bowl and the same thing happened. But my thing is, what's going to happen is we're going to start leaning on that rushing, our rushing offense. And nobody, whether they know it or not, and everybody knows it, you cannot stop the Philadelphia Eagles when they decide to go north-south with that run. Now, one team has yet to show that they can stop it, and I don't think it's going to happen. But then my second would be the 49ers. And actually, I like that Dolphins pick. I ain't going to lie to you.
Yeah, those are way too early picks, guys. We'll definitely reserve the right to change our mind as we get closer into this thing. All right, guys, we're running out of time here, but we got to slide this in before we get out of here. We got to talk a little bit of college football. The game is this weekend, Ohio State versus Michigan, both undefeated teams. This is going to basically decide who's going to write their own ticket into the college football playoff. I've gone back and forth on who I think is going to win this ball game. But K-Walk, what say you when it's all said and done on Saturday? Who gets out of there with the win?
Yeah, I'm going to stay with the most consistent team out of the two, that is, and I'm going to go with the Ohio State Buckeyes. I just think they have, those weapons that we always talk about week in and week out. At C.J. Stroud, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. As well. That defensive line with Michigan, Michigan seems like, I don't know if they're playing possum. I don't know what it is about them, but they play too many close games for me, especially last week against Illinois. Yeah. I don't know. And even the games prior to that, they just seems to be always playing down to their competition. I know they're going to get up for this game. We know it's one of the arguably, the best rivalry in all of sports. You can put it in that argument for sure. But I'm going to take Ohio State in this one just because of the fact of the matter is I like C.J. Stroud. I like where they're coming from. And I don't know what McCarthy is going to do on the other side as far as the quarterback there. So I'm going to, based off of, because Ohio State has C.J. Stroud, I'm taking Ohio State.
Yeah, man. And pretty much everybody, every competent person I've seen on TV, they've taken Ohio State. Yeah. I mean, for all the reasons that you said, and Ohio State's playing at home. I mean, you feel like Ohio State should win this game. But for some reason, man, I think Michigan's going to get out of there with the win. And the only reason why is the two things that Michigan does really well, Ohio State's not great at. Like Ohio State's run defense is not great. They do not do a good job stopping the run. And then Michigan and Ohio State has struggled at times running the football this year. Even though they have those great running backs, their offensive line has not been great. And Michigan is just really, really good up front on both sides of the ball. So because of that, and I know it's crazy to take Michigan 2 years in a row that beat Ohio State at home. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm actually going to take Michigan in this game for some reason. Okay. I think their offensive line and defensive line is going to be the deciding factor. But Britt, what do you say? Who gets out of there with the win?
You're a traitor, Jay. You're a traitor.
Penn State guy.
You're a traitor, Jay. No, I think this is going to be a much tougher game than most people think. I'm gonna go with Ohio State. That's my team. I'm not going against them. It's so hard. I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie with how they played the last game, especially in that first half. They didn't play too well, but I think we're going to lean on C.J. Stroud. We're going to leave on Marvin Harrison Jr., and I think we're going to be all right. So going with Ohio State. Don't let me down, Buckeyes. Don't let me down.
Yeah, you know what? Marvin Harrison Jr. could be the X factor because I don't know that Michigan has a guy in their secondary that's going to be able to slow him down. So he could very well be the X factor for sure. All right, guys, we are up against the clock. Let's forego our rants, but let's definitely get in the Who's Ballin' segment. Every week we want to shout out a team, a player. Oh, what? You want to do the rant?
We can't forgo our rant. I'd rather do the rant versus the Who's
Ballin'. All right. If you got a rant that's ready to go and you gotta get it off your chest, that's fine. We could do the rant for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do our rants. Every week, we want to. You get a 1 minute rant to just get it off your chest, whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart. You get 1 minute to just let it all out. And since Britt is pumped up about the segment, Britt, I'm going to start with you. You got 1 minute. Your 1 minute rant, Britt. Take it away.
Well, hopefully my computer don't die. I forgot to plug it in, guys. So let's hope I'm on for this whole rant. But no. All right, 1 minute. Here we go. The Vikings. Really? I'm coming back at you. It's been 5 years. I've been waiting for this moment. This very moment, 5 years since you came into my city of Philadelphia, and vandalized the mess out of it. Clearly, you still haven't learned. You haven't learned. And what's up with that celebration? Because you got slaughtered by the Cowboys. I don't even like the Cowboys. We're rivals. But I thank them. Thank you so much, Cowboys. I appreciate you. You're about to make me cry because you actually did something once for me. For me. Thank you. But back to these Vikings. You got slaughtered. You got manhandled. You look like little boys out there on that field with a field amongst men. You look like you didn't belong, and you were at home. And Kirk Cousins, maybe you need to be humbled a little bit because we saw you on the airplane celebrating with all them chain after chain. I don't know if you guys remember this, but he looked like Junebug from the movie I'm Going to Get You, Sucker. Remember Junebug who overdosed from having way too much jewelry on? That's what he looked like. Oh yeah, I guess the Vikings did die, didn't they? Because their Vikings, the Vikings offense was dead.
Time. My goodness.
What do you know about that? What do you know about that movie, Brad? That movie might be older than you.
That's one of my favorite movies, K-Walk. I love that movie.
Oh, man. You walking around with some high heels, or some platforms with the fish tank in them too. Good stuff, Britt.
Man, Britt, I know you're feeling good after that rant. Hopefully, you'll still be feeling all right after mine. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I have a rant, and I'm coming for the Philadelphia Eagle fans in the city of Philadelphia.
Oh,
and it's actually, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to give the Philadelphia Eagles some things to let them down easy. Philadelphia fans, the Eagles aren't going anywhere.
Ooh.
I've watched them the last 2 weeks. And to me, this looks like a team that's coming back to the mean, that's coming back to what they really were. They started off the season great. They were undefeated, the last undefeated team in football. Everybody in Philadelphia is so excited, so happy. I hate to break it to you, ladies and gentlemen. The Eagles are going nowhere. I believe the team that we saw the last 2 weeks is much closer to what they really are than the team we saw in the previous 6 weeks. I'm here to let you down easy. I'm going to lay you down on a nice soft pillow. Philadelphia Eagle fans, your team isn't going anywhere. All those hopes, all those expectations, let it go. They will not be standing at the very end.
You see, he does this after a Cowboys win. Let's see what he does after a Cowboys loss. Let's see if he feels the same way.
Hey, Jay, let me ask you. Hey, Jay, where you spending Thanksgiving at this year?
Not in South Jersey.
I'm going to stay here now, K-Walk. I think after that, I'm going to stay right here in Georgia, K-Walk.
Wait, K-Walk, I think he's drinking or smoking the same thing that Jerry Jones has been smoking for the last 26 years.
I didn't say the Cowboys. I didn't mention the Cowboys at all in that rant. I just said the Eagles weren't going anywhere. K-Walk, that's all I said. That's all I said. And I know you agree with me, don't you, K-Walk?
K-Walk. What team
I kind of alluded to it earlier, but yeah.
What team did he represent this year, though?
Yeah, maybe he saw this coming. I don't know. Yeah, but he did. It was the Eagles. It was the Eagles.
I have a feeling K-Walk agrees with me, ladies and gentlemen. But
Yeah, I mean, I live a lot closer to South Jersey, Philly than you do, Jay.
And here's the thing. Don't get your hopes too high, Jay, because Cowboys will let you down.
We'll
and
see.
You'll be highly surprised.
Britt, we
And-
might
And
both
the Eagles
be let down
aren't
at
fully
the end of this
healthy.
thing. We
And the
might
Eagles
both be
aren't
let
fully
down.
healthy. Be careful about what
We
you
might
say.
both be let down. I agree with that. Okay, Walt, man.
I can't be let down because we exceeded expectations. Y'all's not there yet. Remember that. We exceeded right now expectations. We weren't supposed to be 9-1. Remember? Prior to the season, what'd you have?
I don't know, Britt, though. Expectations have changed now. Even if nobody was expecting it early, you come out the gates like that, the expectations have changed. I think people would be very disappointed if the Eagles fell flat. Anyway, K-Walk, let me turn this over to you. You got 1 minute, man. Take it away.
Hey, man. Well, I don't even know how to follow that up, bro. I mean, I was just going to go to my balling segment, man, and and forego my rant. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going Jimmy G here. I'm going Jimmy G naysayers, man. And I'm saying this right now is a lot of people are asking, can Jimmy G win the game by himself for the 49ers? A lot of people are saying that he cannot. My thing is saying that he does not need to, ladies and gentlemen. He does not need to. Stop asking this question. Jimmy G is not an elite quarterback. He's not. So stop putting so much blame on him when they lose and try and saying that he is the reason why they don't win. Hey, listen, look at his record when he does start and he's healthy. It's 40-19. And when he doesn't play, it's 9-29. That's the record. The numbers don't lie. Women lie, men lie. Numbers don't lie. So listen, my naysayers, man, for Jimmy G, stop asking that question. No, Jimmy G does not need to be and Patrick Mahomes. He does not need to be a Tom Brady. Maybe he doesn't want to be right now. He doesn't need to be a Aaron Rodgers. Hey, really doesn't want to be him right now. But nonetheless, Jimmy G does not need to win the game by himself. He does not need to. Kyle Shanahan won't allow him to do it. So stop with that question, please, naysayers.
All right, K-Walk. I actually agree with that.
I'm about to be a whole meme and a half with all the faces I was making because K-Walk, I could have sworn about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, you was just a Jimmy G naysayer. But I might be
No. What did I say? What did I say? I said no. I said to Jimmy G, just put the ball in your playmakers' hands, okay, and let them do their thing. The week after that, he did.
Darn sure wasn't confident in them.
All I said was all he had to do was
you were not confident, Jimmy G.
No, I was not, and I'm not, and I'm still not confident because I'm saying he's not an elite quarterback. So stop saying, does Jimmy G need to be an elite quarterback? I mean, can he win the game by himself? Jimmy G doesn't need. He's not that quarterback. He doesn't need to do that. The system doesn't dictate that. It doesn't ask him to do that. So stop it with that question, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm asking.
I actually feel pretty good about Jimmy G right now, man. If you think about it, like the offseason, he wasn't really studying the playbook, wasn't really planning on being there, all that stuff. He looks like he's hitting his stride right now, man. So I feel pretty good about him. But I agree with you, K-Walk. He doesn't need to win the game. He doesn't have to put the team on his back. That is not called for in that offense. He just got to play good complementary football, and the 49ers will be just fine. All right, guys, we got to get out of here. We're running late. It's almost 8:30, so let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. But real quick, Britt, let the people know where they can find you so they can follow you on social media and sort of what you're looking forward to this week as well.
Looking forward to Thanksgiving, of course. Thanksgiving is at my house, so me and my family are cooking for everybody. I'm excited about that. So happy Thanksgiving to all those who celebrate, and happy holidays if you celebrate anything else. But of course, the games, basketball is on. I don't expect my Sixers to win right now. We are playing the Nets at home, but everybody is out. Joel, James Harden, everybody is gone, so I don't expect the Sixers to win. I would be highly shocked. But you guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at Britne Monique, and Facebook at Britne Jones.
Yeah, same with me. Looking forward to Thanksgiving, watching some football. Obviously, this weekend, that Ohio State-Michigan game and USC Notre Dame, there's going to be some really good college football on as well. So should be a great sports week and sports weekend. And you guys can find me at Jason Talk Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. K-Walk, what say you?
Yeah, I'm right along with you guys there. You know, they're looking for the 3 Fs this year. That's family, food, and football. Looking forward to all of that. Thanksgiving is my favorite time.
You scared me for a second.
Oh, Jay, now we'll go there, Jay. Come on now. but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to my favorite time of the year of the games that Britt mentioned, the 3 games that we have on Thursday. Florida Gators play Florida State on Friday, day after Thanksgiving. Just looking forward to this time of the year, greatest time of the year as far as I'm concerned. Where you can catch me at is Instagram, Kevin.Walker72, obviously Facebook, Kevin Walker, and Twitter at KevinWalker142. And I'm wishing everyone a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, good stuff there, K-Walk. Good stuff for sure. All right, guys, that was fun. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you listening. Please subscribe to our channel, The Sideline Speaks. Share it with a friend. We're trying to hit that 100 subscribers number. We're inching up. We're getting closer and closer. So if you guys could subscribe, we definitely appreciate it. And we'll see you back here next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thank you for listening to The Sideline Speaks. For Britne Jones and Kevin Walker, I'm Jason Collins, and we'll see you next week.
Go Eagles.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Britne Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.